Uh, Many of you know that earlier this year I became a kidney donor. Before my surgery, I came to the congregation here and announced I was preparing for this procedure. I said, if you want to support me during the surgery, send music. Several of you did, and I'm truly grateful for it. Right around when I had the surgery, I was at home. I looked out my window and saw Paula O'Brien coming up the walkway with a big cardboard box. You wanted music, she asked? This is about a third of my record collection. Now, this was more than a record collection. It was a gold mine. Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde and the Basement Tapes, the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed, the band's self-titled album, Moody Blues, Days of Future Past, Simon and Garfunkel's Bookends, about 30 records in all, original pressings from decades past. When I had recovered enough to have visitors, I invited over all the members of my band, and we spent the whole evening listening to Paula's record collection. I'm so glad I asked, and so glad that Paula responded. We have a deep desire to give that is mostly unrealized, because no one asks us for help. How many times have you known someone who's dealing with a death in the family, or a surgery, or a breakup, and you said, I'm here for you. Let me know what you need. 99 times out of 100, you'll never hear from them. Because one of the hardest things for people to do is to ask for help when they need it. We don't want to impose on someone or make people think that we are weak or helpless or feel indebted. But the reality is so different from our imagination. There are people all around us just waiting to be asked to help. If you don't ask, people will never have the chance to come through for you. And then you'll never hear Blonde on Blonde on vinyl. I make my living asking people for money. Most people would rather live in the third circle of hell than do my job. But for me, it was an intentional choice. I get to be the one to unlock people's generosity. I'm a community organizer at heart, not unlike the travelers in today's story. Fundraising done well is a type of community organizing, bringing people together in support of a common goal. At its best, it's a spiritual discipline. It's no coincidence that many faiths have practices of sacred giving. In the Jewish tradition, it's called tzedakah. In Islam, it's zakat, one of the most important pillars of that faith. Christians give alms or blessings. For me, fundraising is a Zen practice of generosity and gratitude. It has made me a better human being. Understanding the importance of giving and asking starts with the fundamental truth. All of us are wired to give. Your economics teacher doesn't want you to know this, but for the first 295,000 years of humans' 300,000 year history as a species, we lived in gift economies. It's in us at the level of DNA. Psychologists have found that giving is one of the most reliable triggers for human happiness. People give according to what I call the Jack Simpson rules of giving. Jack Simpson is a financial advisor and family friend who is the most consistent donor to Chicago Blues Revival, an organization that I started. I'm always humbled and grateful for Jack's gifts to the organization. And every time I call to thank him, he says two things. I'm glad to do it, and I've got it to give. Those are the Jack Simpson rules. Are you glad to do it? Do you have it to give? When those questions are answered yes, generosity follows. Oliver Corpus is a friend of mine that I met at a leadership seminar when we were in high school. We were both active alumni of that program and spent several years helping young leaders find their passion and potential. We went to the same college and spent time together. We started the Down Home Blues Harmonica Club and a band called Blue Light Special. Years later, Facebook allowed me to follow Ollie's adventures, going to Star Wars conventions, practicing stage magic, and most of all, being a wish granter for Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was overseas last year when I heard that Ollie was back on dialysis. His first kidney transplant had given out after 5 years. He was spending 10 or more hours a week in a chair with a needle in his arm. And for the rest of his waking hours, his body was weak. While he didn't put out a direct ask for a donor, he made it clear that he was in need. 2 months later, I sent him a message. Has anyone come forward yet as a kidney donor for you? No, he said, not yet. I told him I was interested. Many people have asked me, how could you do that? I could never be an organ donor. But for me, it's just the Jack Simpson rules in action. It brings me gladness, and I have it to give. I was not a direct match for Ollie, so I made what is called a voucher donation. My kidney went to someone who needed it, and Ollie got bumped to the top of the list for the next available compatible kidney. So my donation was involved in the healing of at least 2 people. For the first few days, I was really uncomfortable. I could only sleep on my back, and I had trouble pulling myself up out of bed. As my body healed, it got easier until the only things that were left were the faint scars and the incredible feeling that Gibran describes. I was a witness to the process of life giving to life. Incidentally, Ollie's a good bit more conservative than I am. We don't really talk politics, and we don't need to. The good that people do in the world is more than the sum total of their electoral choices. That's not a popular message in these polarized times, but I think it's an important reminder of our shared humanity. A friend of mine named Unni recently decided to be a non-directed kidney donor, meaning that he's deliberately giving to a stranger in need. Non-directed donors are often the linchpin that makes several other donations possible. He told me recently one of the reasons he decided to do this, I'll quote, I believe in doing good in ways that will not be directly reciprocated and not limited to individuals who share my moral / religious / political / racial / gender / etc. identities, views, and practices. Giving is part of what makes us human. Asking is a catalyst to unlock that humanity. And every once in a while, when the conditions are right, we're able to start a chain reaction of asking and giving. It's a rare and beautiful occasion when we get to be the traveler who shows up in the town square with a stone. There were 2.2 million migrants who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border in the first 8 months of this year, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. When you look at the big picture, it's easy to get overwhelmed and say, I don't care, I won't share. Look again, and look closely. This is one of those rare moments when we're holding the stone. For the last couple of months, church members have been cooking upstairs every morning at 7 a.m. and bringing breakfast to the migrants at the police station. Even my teenagers have dragged themselves out of bed multiple times to be a part of it. Yesterday, we served ham and cheese sandwiches to more than 150 people, many of them kids 4, 6, 8 years old. The way people in this congregation are stepping up is pure stone soup. I'll bring the eggs, someone will say. I'll bring some extra pans and aluminum foil. I can't cook this Saturday, but I'll still drop off banana muffins. Bring what you've got, put it in the pot. It's become one of the highlights of my week. It's a second church service, Saturday morning worship. It's even starting to draw a few visitors from the neighborhood who, in their own way, are contributing to the life of Beverly Unitarian. Saturday mornings are a time we build community with each other and extend the love of that community to our new neighbors at the police station. It's one tangible way that we live out our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. If you're feeling cynical about the state of the world, Saturday morning breakfast is good medicine. Fundraisers like me will tell you that thanking is what completes the cycle of asking and giving. It recognizes the relationship you built with someone through the gift and allows the gift to live on beyond the exchange. My heart is full of gratitude from the last several weeks, and I'd like to share some thanks today. To Anna Carvlin, Maria Moser, Mary Carvlin, who are organizing migrant response on behalf of the church, thank you. You brought the stone. To Mike Wolf, who's been coordinating our breakfast crew nearly every week, thank you. For those who have been coming to help on the regular, Linda, Mary Lee, Marina, Chris and Pat, Dee and Jim, Carolyn, Stacy, Mary, Lenore, Philip, Tom, Wilberding, thank you. For the crew of kids and teens, Isaiah, Graham, Eric, Ani, and Reed, thank you. And for others working behind the scenes, Jean, Pam, Katrina, Beth, Amanda, and several others who have stepped up in big and small ways, thank you. As we head into the cold winter months, we expect migrants to keep coming. A week ago, there were 80 people at the police station, more than we'd seen before. As of Friday, there were double that number. A group of members, as you've heard today, in the cold of Friday night, opened the front door here at the castle. We've got room. Come stay with us. This building, which was once a house and now is a house of worship, was both again this weekend. Our sanctuary became a sanctuary, consecrated by those who needed a warm place to sleep and the generosity of those who provided it. Churches like ours were built for moments like this. Let me say clearly to everyone listening here and online, we need you. New buses of migrants are arriving every week, as recently as last night. And for now, we're the only family they've got. I'm asking you to please step up and help. Come join us on Saturday morning, or share some clothes, or a few dollars, or a room, or an egg noodle. You don't have to give everything, but Stone Soup only works when everybody gives something. So sit with the Jack Simpson questions this week. What would make me glad to give? What do I have to share? Let's take the next step together.